We can get started. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining our conversation on unleashing team collaboration with Power Apps, real-time co-authoring, and AI-enhanced development. If you are new and joining us here today, we are Imperium Dynamics, a proud Microsoft partner based in downtown Chicago, dedicated to bringing your vision to life within the Microsoft stack. We help organizations of all sizes achieve digital transformation, solving complex problems, and delivering long-lasting impact through the Microsoft Cloud solutions, with a focus on increasing both the capabilities of people and the performance of businesses. This is just a quick overview of our agenda today, where we'll be talking about the new updates regarding co-authoring and Canvas apps, AI-powered copilot and model-driven apps, as well as strategic business impact, and finishing off with a Q&A. But before we get started, a few housekeeping items. The session is being recorded, and after the webinar is over, you will receive an email with the link to access the recording. So feel free to revisit it or share with your colleagues. There will be a Q&A session at the end, so please feel free to submit your questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A chat feature, and we'll address as many as possible. We'll also be sharing additional resources and a copy of today's slide deck after the session, so you don't have to worry about taking detailed notes. Joining me today is our technical architect, Shazar Khalid, and our global director of commerce, Christian. Well, welcome. Maybe you kind of just want to give an overview of your role and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I'm really excited about this one. I was just at the Power Platform conference, and the community is growing and growing. And my background comes from Microsoft within the landscape. I've been in it for what feels like too long. And today I get to talk to one of my best buddies and someone who really knows about this stuff, Shazar. So excited here, excited to get this kicked off.
And thank you for that, Christian. So, hello, everyone. I'm Shazar Khalid. I'm a technical architect here in Imperium Dynamics. I've been working in the Microsoft space for over 9 years now. Been developing everything related to Power Platform and Dynamics. So very heavily invested in this space and love the digital transformation that comes from this and the support and backing from Microsoft for your applications and infrastructure. Something would love to get into what Microsoft has brought us new every time a conference happens.
And Shazar, I think you're an expert now too. You got to add that to the top of your name, like doctor, but expert Shazar, expert power.
Yeah, that's on my LinkedIn. It's there.
Amazing.
But can't put it in the name. People think I'm bragging too much.
Awesome. Thank you both. So, Christian, you mentioned that you and our CEO attended this year's Power Platform Community Conference. So, kind of just want to get your thoughts on, your reaction and kind of the room's reaction when these new features were shown live.
Yeah, and I'll even start out, we've been to the last two. We went to the first one and then the last one. And I tell you, how the communities grow is just amazing to see, right? And there was this dream that was kind of put in on how you could enhance, how Power Platform could enhance the regular business user's everyday job. And it would be, Power Apps would be treated the same as Word, Excel. And obviously, it's a journey, right? But compared to that first one down to now, I mean, it's becoming more and more a reality. And with co-authoring, Copilot involved with the chat functionality, and of course the Planner app, that's becoming more and more a reality. So it was amazing. The energy at the conference was great, and just the conversations, just to see where everyone's at in these journeys, I think it's phenomenal to see.
So thinking, like you mentioned, the real-time co-authoring and Canvas app is truly a game changer for collaboration. So either Shaz or Christian, if you guys kind of want to answer, how does this new feature help teams from both the business user sides and then also the architects to work more efficiently without running into version conflicts or delays?
Yeah, honestly, I think one thing to kick off that too, and Shazar, I definitely want to hear your opinion. I'm not technical at all. I can barely turn on these computers. I mean, it's a headache. So from just a business user landscape and just being able to be a part of the journey of creating the applications, more in depth, is I think that's the real power. And with co-authoring, that becomes more and more. Back when I was at Microsoft, there was this I want to say dream that was kind of sold as the fusion team, right? But the problem with the fusion teams is more and more you would have to rely on the architects and the business users, right? They were limited in their engagement or their ability to be involved. And with co-authoring, now you can have that involvement. You can help train. That's where I really see value, right? Training, nurturing the environment of business users or citizen developers, it's better called. But also just being able to do my part, to say the least. So Shazar doesn't have to take that. But I'm interested to see too, right? Because now you talk about speed to execution, how the solution architects, the engineers can be involved in work. So Shazar, I want to hear your thoughts on that. How has this helped you with your builds and even collaborating with clients?
Yeah, thank you for that, Christian. So co-authoring, as like the word goes, a concept that we're all not new to. We do it all the time in shared Word documents, shared Excel sheets, and so forth. And we do that a lot in terms of business processes. I'm sure everyone does that. But when it comes to development in Canvas apps, that did not exist. So, you had to make a copy of a document. So imagine Brittany writing one paragraph, you writing the second, and someone writing the third. And then in the end, we're all like, okay, now someone has to write this whole page with all 3 paragraphs. So that was how it was before with Canvas apps. But now they actually introduced co-authoring in that, which is honestly a game changer in that aspect. Like, think of like the time saving that does, because it allows you to, edit the Canvas app simultaneously, which previously we had to make a copy of each app, and every developer or every person would have a version of their own. They would do the changes they had to do and then, merge them all in the end. This changes things like incredibly in terms of developing the Canvas apps specifically. There are some limitations to it yet because, it was just unveiled, you were there. So it's like not fully, I would say, out there to be used completely hands-on in every aspect. But it's pretty much there for basic Canvas development because some functions are limited yet and some views you can't, access in co-auth. And some other things are like if you're editing a function and another person is editing a function, it doesn't appear in real time. So there are some like things that need to be ironed out still, but just the concept of editing at the same time, like you're filling out a Word document or an Excel sheet, is just whoa, it's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you're in high school, right? And you're collaborating in a team environment. There's always that one kid who's doing better than everyone, right? And he's taking over 70% of the work. But with co-authoring, now you can actually let's spread this work out, right? Let's learn as a team. And one thing that I really see the value as, and honestly, one of the first thoughts I had is, being able to engage the admins of our customer base and helping them with the training. One thing that really lacked back in the day was, oftentimes you come in there, you do the build for them, but the customer says, hey, I want to learn the platform too. And right, that's limited when you only have one-on-one access. But when you can open that door up, now we can really further this collaboration. Say, hey, point over here, look over here, right? And have that engagement model, which I think is key. At Imperium, we're extremely about nurturing. Like, we want to nurture the environment. We want to grow this. And if it's just in these silos of creation, how can we ever empower the admins? How can we ever empower all the organizations out there to get there? So this, I think, follows in line with exactly what we're trying to achieve as an organization. But I know, Shazar, you're best friends with a lot of these guys, right? You're in the trenches with them. Do you see this when it does get there being something that's going to help with that collaboration?
For sure. I actually did not think of it from that perspective because, I'm just thinking in terms of development, oh, me, I'm going to make an app with people.
Yeah.
But that perspective is actually very something because I didn't think of it that way, that you could actually have a client on the call and be like, hey, this is where I'm clicking. This is the function. Because otherwise you'd be like, yeah, can you share your screen? And okay, let's go here, do this. You don't even need to be on call for that anymore. You can just connect with a developer, a technical person on their end and completely, co-auth an app or co-auth a fix and show them where it's being fixed and done. That kudos to you, man. I did not even think of it in that way. I mean, it's a tool. You can use it in multiple ways. You can just like show people how to do stuff directly on the tool itself, or you can build stuff with it together.
Well, I mean, I remember not too long ago, there was a scenario. I remember you were like coming back from vacation or something, and there was an A1 with one of our clients, right? And one thing we don't like to make them wait, right? We can jump in there. And I think you were in the car or something and you jumped in, right? But you had to walk them through. Now with this tool, you can get deeper in the trenches with them, to say the least. You can help them out even further. So yeah, I think
Yeah. Hopefully, if it comes out for other aspects as well, if this comes out for Power Automate in the future, I hope Microsoft does that, puts that on their roadmap. This would be killer. It would be absolutely killer.
Yeah.
But they have put a step in the right direction. If it's for Canvas apps, it's going to be for model-driven apps someday, and Power Automates, then we're really cooking.
Yeah, and that's a
let's you know what I mean. Let's see, dude.
and then yeah, that's a good point, Shazza. I guess with that, on your side, how can architects quickly adapt to these new changes and up?
That's a good question, Brittany. So the forefront of it is being up to date with what's going on in the Power Platform world, and knowing the latest and greatest, because things like this come out very often. Sometimes there's some other tool, some other feature that gets released. Like now, there's also like copilot within a Canvas app, so you can actually go in the Canvas app, and then once you select a component like a button or something, you can toggle. There's a tiny button for copilot. You go in and you type in like, okay, make this button change the number in that field to +2 every time I click it, and it just gives you the code for that. So stuff like that doesn't get covered in like huge conferences and giant announcements, because it's not as big. But for like our day-to-day stuff, it is actually pretty useful, because things like these keep coming. So you have to be on track with the news. But then again, as an architect, you need to know like, okay, yeah, this is awesome, but this is not something I can implement in a solution yet, because it hasn't been fully worked out, or like it's still in its beta stage. So with that, I would say the best way is to just keep aware of what's going on in the Power Platform community, and just use the features. Like some things that come out, like Power Platform pipelines came out, and they're like super easy, but they're not like 100% robust and there yet. People use them for solutions like normal solutions or easy to go, which doesn't have much components. They work perfectly fine. But in case you have some complicated plugins there, or effects expressions, or custom connectors, then they try to attempt to break, basically. So it's something that you just need to know that, okay, yeah, this is out there, this is great, and this is something new, but can I use it now? So that's where the actual architectural knowledge of it would come in, where you kind of like research ins and outs, because Microsoft is very helpful in that aspect, that if you go into any feature, if you scroll down, they actually list down, okay, known limitations, known issues, and known drawbacks, that, okay, yeah, this feature does not support these 8 functions. So if you were architecting a solution and you had to use one of those functions, even if that wasn't your whole use case, you can't even take that approach, because if there's even one point of failure, or, why would you even attempt it in a full-scale robust solution? So something of that sort. But I hope I answered your question. Christian, nothing on the architect side, but I do want to hear your opinion on it. Like, how do you think people can, stay more up to date? Because some people are not like as connected, or as going into conferences as much as you guys do and we do, and connected to all the pages. So how does a person, stay up to date with all the stuff that goes on in the Microsoft world?
A phenomenal question. And something that I've thought about for a few years now, right? So the reality is, even if you're on the chains, if you're in the community thing, things, you kind of want that news alert, right? You want to know when those changes are coming. So what I used to say, especially when I was at Microsoft, obviously I say here now, is have a partner that can help with that engagement, right? The realistic nature is, if you're an admin, if you're creating on the portal, if you're new, I recommend having someone there to help guide you on that to get to that 100%, right? Because everyone's on that journey, and that's for Powers for Dynamics, that's for all. But the other thing I would want to say is that I want to invite you, in my whoever's watching this, to my upcoming roundtables that we'll be working with Microsoft very deeply on. More to come on that. I'm probably saying that a little too soon. But next month we'll be starting these engagement community roundtables that will be bi-monthly. What I mean that every 2 months, not bi-weekly. Some people get that confused. But every 2 months we'll be hosting these things. We're inviting everyone, admins. We'll have those open discussions, right? Because one thing that I hear in all these conversations is everyone's having the same issues. When there's a release, everyone's wondering the same thing. Let's talk together, right? It keeps Shazar from saying the same thing over and over again, but it also gives like guidance and comfortability that everyone knows that everyone's on this journey. They're roughly on different marks, but pretty close to that, right? We all struggle with the same thing. So let's work together. Let's really make this impactful as a community. I truly do believe in this platform. And I really think that the ability for this to grow, especially with the smart, the new generations that come out, they can do everything. I used to joke that, hey, if you know how to use Photoshop, you can create a Canvas app. It's that simple, right? But these new technologies, new wave releases, it's making it easier and easier. It's just adopting that into the process, which is key. I mean, we saw that same thing with AI, right? I mean, the transition from PVA to Copilot Studio and that enhancement, really was a game changer in how you go about creating bots, how you start to engage bots. And we even have in our organization people who just create bots to help their day to day. That wasn't a possibility 3-4 years ago. And that's what's becoming more and more possibility. But the education is the most important. And again, that's why I'm here. That's my mantra at Imperium, but what I want to help service is spreading that education. So I guess in short, come to the communities, participate, but also message me anytime. I'm totally open. On my LinkedIn, I'll respond.
Yeah, message any of us.
Yeah. Message Shazar. He'll respond soon. He's really good.
No, then you'll probably be buried under 100 messages. So I'm sorry if I can't get to. But yeah, message Imperium will get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
and that's
go. No, sorry, Brittany. I cut you.
sorry, that was actually a great segue, Shastra. You kind of touched on limitations, but I'm kind of curious is there any potential risk or common mistake that users should look out for when, playing around with these new updates?
Do we get the list out now, or are we like, no, I'm just kidding. Shazar, do you want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So I think I already covered this in our previous question and kind of like segment that whenever something comes out, Microsoft is like very nice about it that they provide documentation, and in that documentation on the bottom section they have known limitations, known issues, and missing or things. So they actually mention it very specifically, like, okay, this is a new feature, but it tends to do this sometimes and it tends to do that sometimes, and these things are missing. So when you're just playing around with it, then obviously play around to your heart's content, nothing there. But when you actually are architecting or using it in a solution, then you actually need to pay attention to all of those things, even every function that is mentioned, because it's possible that you are building a solution and, the solution is built of a lot of things. And at some point, for some key thing, you might need to use that one function. And you try to work with it and it's not there. And you're like, well, turns out that one function was not available. And now your whole solution that you've built based on that approach is like, now you can't do anything about it. So that is something that you need to keep in mind and go through extensively before using any of these new beta features or tools. Even when tools are not in beta, there's still aspects to them that are not out there yet or not developed yet. Like, for example, we have our very common and very popular tool that people use, which is in the middle of constructing a C# plugin or writing a Power Automate flow. It's like the Dataverse Accelerated plugins or Dataverse Plugin Accelerator. So in that, it's perfect. You write a plugin in Power FX and it's best at what it does. But if you go into the documentation, there's a lot of Power FX functions which you can use in Canvas apps, but they don't work over there. They just don't. So if you have anything that can be using those functions, that can't be the approach you take. You have to write a Power Automate or go for a C# plugin. So not in just new apps or new features that come out, but I would say in every approach you take in architecting a solution, it's a good thing to just go and check like, hey, these are the known limitations that Microsoft says, and these are the issues that come up. So can I put these at risk, or is this like completely irrelevant? So I can definitely use this tool.
Yeah, another risk that I just want to mention, because there was one thing that came out of there that I slightly disagree with. But just because a feature comes out doesn't mean you have to add it, right? Or might not be the best methodology.
Exactly.
Announcements came out this time around SharePoint and how Power Apps work with SharePoint. I will say this, I'll preach this from the choir: do not utilize SharePoint as your backend. Dataverse. I would honestly wear that as a t-shirt every day if I could. It's the most important
The
thing.
tagline would say SharePoint is not a database.
SharePoint is not a database. And it's really important. And there's a lot of architects out there who are not saying that. And there's a lot of people who don't know and start with that. So be aware of the messaging. Like, don't, what do they call it? FOMO, right? Don't have the fear of missing out as something new releases. Read through the sheets like Shazar said. Make sure you talk with your partner. Make sure that you talk with the community before you release those. And one thing that we have in our co-managed plan, where we help empower organizations to enhance their Power Platform development, is that change management, right? You have to think of it in 3 steps, right? Okay, adopting, releasing. But yeah, I just had to get that out of there. I felt like that's really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, amazing.
Don't use any feature if you don't think it fits best for the
It
solution.
always drives me crazy, man. When I was at Microsoft and a partner would come in and they say, okay, let's do SharePoint instead of Dataverse. I mean, it's the biggest red flag you can ever hear. So
Yeah, well, I mean, that was great. So kind of moving on from co-authoring, I'm interested to see your thoughts on the AI-powered copilot in the model-driven apps and what you guys think about that, and if you can share an example of this feature and how it can transform daily operations.
I need some more coffee. What was the feature one more time?
It was the AI-powered copilot in model-driven apps.
That's my favorite thing coming out of there. Honestly, as someone who has 0 coded background, I mean, I can really barely write without spell check. So like coding those languages, I gotta even think of that. But that's awesome, right? Because being able to make the change. One, I want to say, just as an adopter of AI, right? I mean, we all have those chatbots now that do the recording. M365 Copilot, the custom copilots we have for HR or whatever, right? They're all over these organizations. And honestly, if they're not in your organization, please reach out to me. We can help enhance. It's the best thing to get cooking. However, understanding that language is really, really key. And there's always been, I've created a few model-driven apps as a citizen developer. But there's always like that limitation. You're like, hey, I really want to do this. I just don't want to go through, I don't have to pull up the Learn doc and learn all that. With this, you can kind of get past that, right? And you can always try it and come back. But I don't have to go to Chat GPT or go to Copilot to ask it to write that code and then bring it back. I can do it right in there. And that's really powerful. Another thing that I want to say, just from a citizen development landscape, is I can do it faster. I think that's really awesome. I mean, there's nothing that bogs down your citizen developers who aren't used to the tediousness of coding and have them do that. There's always this breaking point when I've helped citizen developers out, when I've done these education, there's always this form. And I will say 80% of the time, it's just too tedious. This takes away that tediousness. This is making it more and more a reality. So I love it.
Yeah, and to add on that, even like the copilots that you turn on within your applications for like dynamics, like the sales and the marketing and customer service and stuff that come built in with those applications now within those modern apps, those are like very focused for the user. Just like go on a case and type to the copilot, hey, what's going on with this case? And it just tells you what's going on. And same for the contact, like who is this contact? And it can tell you like, oh yeah, this person is this old, they live here and so forth, attached to this many accounts. So that copilot itself gives you the power to use your Dynamics apps, like sales, marketing, customer service, field service in a much more powerful way for the normal user. So they actually, while they're using the application, going about their day-to-day processes, they can use the AI assistants within their work. So kind of like having a chat GPT on your own work portal telling you like, yeah, this is something that it's pending, or this is something you can do, or this information is useful for you in that sense. So that is, I think, a very big plus point. I don't have anyone telling me, oh yeah, you have these many meetings, oh this is left, but I haven't like dialed into that sense yet. But that would be very cool if someone assists you in your day-to-day, and that copilot being there in the sales, marketing, and customer service, field service applications dynamics. It's also a very good addition.
Invaluable.
Great. So with that, do you see any limitations, potential risks for this copilot in the model-driven apps?
Well, I guess
Or is it all positive? It's
thing to just kind of comment off to what I said is like, prompting is a language essentially. It's a way to communicate, right? So one thing that I would say is if you go to try a prompt out and it doesn't work, try again or take the time to learn it, right? Like don't give up just because it's not giving you exactly what you want. It's another tool, right? Don't treat it as an absolute truth, right? AI is not an understanding person. Even when you speak to people and you ask them to do something, right? You got to communicate in a certain way or they're not going to understand, right? There's always going to be that disconnect. Same thing with AI. So I don't know if I'm saying like be nice to your AI, but I'm saying we're like utilize it in a
talk to it in a way that it understands, basically.
I'm the guy who says please every morning to my copilot. Please give me the rundown of today. So
yeah, you're gonna be in that meme where it says when AI takes over, Christian, you were nice to us, so we're gonna spare you.
100%, absolutely. Now with the robots coming out too, when mine comes, I want him to know that I appreciate what he's doing, or she, right? I don't know. Do they come with names? You give them I don't know how that works. But we'll find.
Yeah, that's great. So one final question. I know we're a little over time, but can you share either one or the other how Imperium Dynamics collaborates with clients to ensure that this evolving need and updates reflect on kind of Power Apps and how it's evolving over time?
Take it away, Christian.
Yeah, so this is actually my passion. The reason that I left Microsoft personally was because I saw a massive gap in the ecosystem on education. There's a lot of implementations going on. There was a lot of consulting, but there wasn't that layer of education. And at an admin level, at a business user level, at a creation level, there wasn't a lot of guidance out there on how to. So I wanted to come to the partner network. I left Microsoft to join the partner network dedicated with that mission to bring the admin to the toolkit and understand that and enhance that. So we have ourselves a co-managed service that is massively unique out there. I know for a fact it does not exist past us. And our mission is just that, right? When you're at 20, when you're at 30%, we enhance you to that 70. We cover that 70, but we don't just leave it at that. We slowly start to educate you and get you there. So you're practiced at 100%. Then you just bring us in for the big builds, or even more, the AI builds. Because I joke that we're a business application partner who's becoming an AI partner every day with AI being in every sort of our builds. But I mean that sincerely. Be a part of the communities, but leverage the correct partner to nurture your environment. And in the realm of power, I've been in this for a little bit. We can help, and we have helped. And if you want to know how we've helped, shoot me a message. I'll let you know.
Amazing. Thank you. So now we have got to the Q&A part of our conversation. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the Q&A chat.
And Brittany, you see that chat, right? Because I don't see it. I just see you two amazing people in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't
Yes.
see anything.
Yes, I do. And it seems like you guys did an amazing job because there is no question.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Hey,
we answered everything.
yeah. And I honestly didn't want any questions. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, with that, thank you so much for joining our Unleashing Team Collaboration with Power Apps, Real-Time Co-Authoring, and AI-Enhanced Development conversation. We explore the new features of Power Platform Canvas and model-driven apps, and we hope that you have received valuable insights and learned how you can easily adapt to these new advancements. By partnering with Imperium Dynamics, you gain access to innovative solutions that address these challenges head-on. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Shazar.
Guys.
Thank you, everyone.